Hey, welcome to the Build It Basement. Doing a live video now. Don't really have anybody coming in as of yet, but we'll see if anybody joins. Either way, this is going to be recorded. We're finishing up the VORON 2.4 mechanics. We're going to get our gantry, our Z-axis built up, and get that mounted actually to the frame. And that will pretty much finish up the mechanics of the unit, and then we'll be moving on to the electronics. So I told everybody when I get to 100, I'm going to start doing these live. So I'm live. So if you are here and if you do show up, I'm going to be taking questions. I'm going to go over the build thus far, go over any questions if I do get any, and also just talk about the FORMBOT kit that I have, as well as go over any of the issues I've had. That being said, let's get into it. Hey Keith, I see you there. There's a little bit of a delay. I'm sure everybody says that, but getting into the Z joints on this. Pretty basic setup on these. These are set up so that there is the ability for some play. Going ahead and put some of these together already. So basically, this is going to be mounting to our rail. This is going to be mounting to our gantry up top here. And this is basically where the belt's going to be riding in there and get clamped down. So that's what we're looking at. Did put a little lubrication in here. A little bit of PTFE. So plastic on plastic, let's make it last longer. It's meant to wobble, it's meant to wiggle a little bit like that, so should be good. Let's see here. Talk to you guys while I'm doing this as well. Spending money on one of these, just afraid if I start there won't be enough to help out there. Hey, man, I'm here. Can't really help you out if I'm not with you, but I had the whole series of videos. I think I did a pretty good job. I went through the build pretty much soup to nuts, beginning to end. I'm more than willing to take questions. So if you go to any of the videos I have, I think there's 12 steps. This will be number 13. More than willing to help out and answer any questions I didn't answer in the build. There's also the whole Discord, and there's a huge community of people around this, so I wouldn't worry about having help. There's plenty of help out there. Just about to ask. Yeah. Stay away from your question or your statement there, Keith. I can go a lot of places with that on the PG channel here. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble one of these real quick. Go close here, right there. So basically what you're looking at is just a M5 hex nut, M5 by 30, and M3 by 30, and they basically get sandwiched together. I'm going to build one, but they actually have to come apart before we put them on the Z gantry. So take a look at that real quick. So quickest way to do this is the M5 nut sits right in this bad boy right there. If you take that, and seems kind of odd, but with your clamping side down on that, make sure you have your small hole lined up with your small hole right there. That you're going to be putting your M3 through the small side. Now hole, let's see. The programming part. So on the programming part of things, do you have any idea what you're planning on doing for software? Because I might have some suggestions on that. Or if you can tell me a little bit about what you've done before. And anybody that's wondering there, that's my wife, and I don't think she learns a lot from what I do down here, but thank you, honey. All right, so got that on there like that. And again, yeah, let me know what you're thinking about in software, and I might be able to help you out with that. So that's basically sandwiched in there. It's holding the M5 nut that's already in there. This basically, you do have two sections here. You have a cutout, and you have cutouts on this one, and you have your mounting surface on this side. Your mounting surface is going to go to the flat surface of there once we do install it. There's a little bit of friction there. It's not horrible, but mostly because of the printer, and a little bit because my screw's not in all the way. You're going to have some some trouble there. So we're going to put a little lube on that real quick, and just a really fine amount. Put a little bit on my finger. Gonna put it right here. That's probably 2 or 3 times more than I actually need. And just kind of work it in a little bit. And we're kind of preemptively doing this before we put it on the printer, because this, again, is going to come back off. It's going to be a lot easier to put things together. Then we have our M5 screw that's going to go in there. And basically that's going to sanction down that M5 nut that we have in there. And the reason why I'm doing this in advance is these holes are a little tight. Just make everything a little bit easier when we go to do it. So there you go. That's basically what you're going to be assembling. Only it's going to be on the frame. You can see here there's a little bit of play left or right, horizontal. It's basically a mechanism that they've built in to help out with things so things don't bind up on you. That being said, we've got all 4 of those. We've got our parts, our T-nuts. I'm going to pull the gantry back over. Go ahead and change this camera view back to here. So our gantry is flipped upside down right now, mostly because it's a lot easier to work on this upside down. I'm also going to grab a little bit of actually I'm going to grab a couple filament boxes to build that up. Let's see. Grab these. Okay. And we're just gonna get this up in the air a little bit for us. Please do ask questions if you have any. It doesn't have to be about what I'm doing right this second. It can be about the build in general. One of the reasons why I'm doing this one live is just so people can get me questions if you have them, if you watch the other videos or if you haven't. I'm more than willing to share experience with you. Question coming in: did the printer kit that you ordered come plenty good labeled for bolts and other parts? And what have you ever messed with is Marlin? Okay, so as for the parts, real quick on that, I would say yes. So all the parts in the FORMBOT kit come in individually packaged baggies. And I actually haven't seen any spelling errors, which is kind of interesting because they did come from China. Usually you do see some very interesting spellings, but yeah, everything was pre-labeled on the packaging. I mentioned this in one of the videos. I use these bins. You get these at Harbor Freight. Just to put everything out, I put all my M5s in one, all of my M3s in another, all my miscellaneous parts in another. Kind of made it easy for me to go through and build this. I do think that if I was building this without doing videos using this kit, I could have probably hammered this thing out up to the point I'm at right now in probably 6 hours, maybe, give or take, 5 to 6 hours, maybe a little bit less. Wouldn't have been that bad. Let's see here. And as for software, Jafter, Marlin actually is overly complicated as far as I'm concerned. If you've modified Marlin, the firmware for Marlin, and you had to go back into Visual Studio and change a bunch of things in Marlin, you know you have to compile it every single time. If you plan on doing this and you plan on going with the Clipper firmware and then Fluid or whatever you want to write on top of that, and actually I can show you what that looks like real quick. Let me bring that up. Let's see here. So this right here is Clipper. Clipper gives you a great interface, but one of the major benefits of Clipper over Marlin in general, as far as I'm concerned, is the fact that you don't need to reconfigure or to recompile your firmware every single time. I don't know how to explain it, but the firmware pretty much is living live on your machine. So there's a configuration file that you have, and basically everything lies in here, and you can't say it's in plain English because it's not, but it's about as in plain English as it could be. And it's very simple. I mean, this is all the code that I run right now on my Ender 5 incomplete. So comparatively to what you would see, let me bring this up real quick. Comparatively to what you'd see if you were doing Microsoft Visual Studio or something similar to that when you're messing with the Marlin. It's a big difference. So when I get into, hey Haley, hi. When I get into the electronics portion of this, I will be going over Clipper. I will be going over how that gets installed, how the Raspberry Pi works out with that, and how everything kind of comes together. So, what's up? Oh, you were? Okay. All right. Sure, yeah, I can drop a link as to where I ordered it. Give me a minute or two. Let me continue a little bit further on to this. And I'll drop you a link here in the chat so you have it. It's actually FORMBOT. They're pretty easy to find. Bye. So let's move on with this a little bit. Okay, so one of the things I've seen with other folks is the amount of screws that put in the rails. This is one of those things where you don't know till you get there, but I kind of lucked out on some of the stuff. I did not put screws in my end rails. I put them one screw in on all sides. It does say something about that in the manual about doing it on one side. I did it on both. Call me lucky, which would be the first time I've ever gotten lucky on something like that. But the good thing about that is the fact that we now have to put T-nuts in this. And if we had screws in here on the ends, we wouldn't be able to use the T-nuts that we have because they're elongated on one side. So we have our M3 T-nut that's going to get slid in first, and then our M5 T-nut. Now, it just so happens that on the T-nuts, if we put our M3 in, and then we put our M5 in, both in the same direction, basically like this, so long and long, they're going to line up perfectly. If one lines up, the second one's going to line up as well. So I'll go ahead and get that in there real quick, slide into the side. My head might be in the way, apologize for that. Go ahead and get that there. Get a handy dandy hex tool here. Board I'm using. So the kit I ordered came with the Fysetc Spider. It's a pretty nice board. So basically get room on here for your controllers. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have 8. You can control 8 stepper motors with that. We're going to be using 4 on the gantry, and then 2 additional for the X and Y, and then finally 1 for the extruder, which leaves us with a spare. Don't really know what I'm going to do with the spare. Maybe we'll find something fun to do with it. We'll see. But it seems like a pretty decent board. It's actually labeled as a VORON board, which I guess was kind of a surprise to some of the folks that are directly involved with the VORON. So we're going to be taking apart our unit here, and I'm going to go back to my screen real quick just so we can take a look as to how these are actually getting mounted on. Give me a second here. All right. So we got these built up. They're not really showing us much on how these are getting mounted specifically. Not showing left and right. Okay, so there's our bottom. So basically it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, Jafter, don't worry about it, man. I plan on this video being about an hour and a half or so, and I plan on getting done probably 20 minutes of actual work. So I'm more than happy to have the questions. I've done enough videos explaining how to do things. This is actually the final step. I got to do 4 of these. So if I get through 1, I'm probably going to stop talking about what I'm doing and just do it and answer questions as I go through. Because just like most of the things on this printer, you do it once, you do it twice, you do it 3 times, you do it 4 times, depending on what the actual thing is. And it's all the same every time you do it after the first one. So don't worry about it. I'll do what I can. I'll answer all the questions I can, but by no means are you being a hassle or anything like that. This is exactly why I'm doing this. That being said, let's see here. Based on the photograph we have, looks like this is going to sit, because I'm doing everything in reverse here, it's going to sit up against, obviously, small sides down that way. And let's take this guy off for a second. I guess this doesn't matter at the moment. This is going to sit like this. And let's just get that mounted for now. I'm just going to lightly screw that in because we are going to have to get the belt in that in a moment. So, wrong size. A little bit of a mess here working around. Okay, that's in. Okay, that one's in too. Kind of loose, but that's the way we want it. Do the next one. Put that there. Take this one apart. And if you see me doing the same thing over and over again in terms of, like I said, I just did one, I'm going to do another one here. This is a great time to ask questions because after I do one, the way mine works at least, I'm pretty good to go on cruise control after that first one. So basically, again, like most things in this kit, at this point just replicating the first one that I did. Bring my T-nuts in, sliding them into place. Again, just about right. And then just lining up the M3 and the M5 to go into this. This is actually going to be the clamping position for our Z or Z axis. I'm trying to get everybody to say Z at work, but it's not working. We're too American. It seems like everybody else says Z in the whole world except for us, right? Works for me. Alright, get this one going as well. And again, if you had put in a screw in this first hole on either side here, you'd be kind of jammed up at this point because you'd have your T-nut sticking beyond your extrusion, beyond your plastic. Probably your best bet would be at that point, if you had to. I'm trying to think of how you could get that out. Think about that for a second. The best way you can get that out if you wind up in that situation without removing the whole linear rail. I don't know. Kind of be screwed. Where is my last one? There we go. Yeah, if you had your last screw in that rail, you'd be stuck. Oh, let's see here. I just finished building mine. How fast should I set the bed mesh speed to? It's smooth at 200 and it clunks at 300. So when it comes to bed meshing, there's a couple trains of thought that go along with that. And one is to do it before every print, kind of in your start code for your G code. Another train of thought is basically if you're not moving the machine around a lot, is to do a bed mesh, especially if using Clipper, and set and forget type of thing. Depends on how much printing you do. I personally, I don't do a bed mesh every single time. I haven't had any issues with that. So I would say do it slower, make it accurate, and either deal with the fact that it takes a little bit more time every time you print, or plan on removing that from your start code. But that's up to you. And I'm kind of questioning why it would clunk. Do you have any, I mean, when you say clunk, what is it specifically? Is it making clunking sounds, or what's it doing? It really shouldn't clunk. Clunking kind of worries me. This M3 is kind of worrying me too. Let's see here. Kenneth, what color blue is that? I got the eSUN black and silver ABS. The silver became matte gray. All right, blue. Let me see if I can find a box of that in a second. For some reason, this is not playing nice right now. I put that in backwards. I don't think so. Give me 1 second. I'll grab the box for it and tell you exactly what blue it is. It's a translucent blue. I can tell you that. It's not a solid blue. Kind of gives it a neat effect because you can see. There we go. You can see the infill through the pieces, which is kind of nice. Kind of a close up on that real quick. So it's kind of hard to see on a camera, but in person it looks probably a little bit better than that. But it has a really neat. Thanks for asking. It has a really neat color gradient effect because of that infill, in that because it is translucent. But let me find out what color it is for you. Give me a second. It actually might want to be one of these boxes. I don't think, was it eSUN? Or Sun Blue? What is this? Luckily for me, oh, that's Pet G. The only ABS I've ever bought in my life is ABS to build this. So that should make it easier to find the color. Let's see here. That's transparent. What is this? That's PLA. Let me look for you real quick. I will check my Amazon purchases just for you, bud, and let you know what that is. Let's see, ABS. That was HATCHBOX ABS. I'll actually throw a link up for you. The HATCHBOX, what do they call it? Transparent blue. Can't get any more simple than that, huh? All right, let me copy that. And I also got to send you that FORMBOT link too. So this is a link for that translucent blue if you're interested in that. And then let me grab a link for the FORMBOT kit, which is basically FORMBOT3D.com. And let me see if I can find specifically, let's see, VORON. And let me look. Yep, looks like they still got the kits right there. They actually have a V0, a 2.4, and some other stuff on there as well. So let me send you, I'm not selling you anything, that. So I think it was Jafter that looked for that or wanted that FORMBOT link, which is right there. And Kenneth, there is that blue Amazon link to the translucent blue that I was using. Jafter, I did notice you can load the whole model inside of Fusion 360 and break it into parts to see stuff that you couldn't. Yeah, that is true. You can do that. I'd say that's probably a pro tip. So you can basically, excuse me, you can basically, you can remix or redesign it if you want to as well using Fusion. So you can do quite a bit in there. I haven't found a need really to get to that depth. I've been able to figure out, for the most part, everything I need to figure out. And actually, since that came up, I think that, you know, I'll stroke an ego. The VORON crew, you know, the team of engineers and folks that put together both the kit, the parts, the manual. I have to say, after getting to this point in this build, I won't say they're genius, but they did a very good job of giving you just enough information so you use your own brain to build it. That's two things. Number one, it makes you think. That way you know what you're doing. You build it, so if it breaks, you know how to fix it. And number two, it stops people from probably trying to do something that they can't do. So if you looked at the manual before you ordered your parts and you say, gee, I don't know if I can do that and I don't want to do that, you know, it does not give you a step. It's not IKEA furniture. There's not, you know, a step-by-step of every single part. Some of it requires you to, either think forward or backwards as to what you're doing and think about what you're actually trying to accomplish. I'll tell you that probably at least 20% of the time I've found the most decent information off of the full renders of the machine and going back and looking at those. So those are really important. I've used strictly the PDF and information I've been able to find. I have not done the tear apart or the blow up of the VORON machine in Fusion or anything else to kind of see where all the parts fit together. I don't have Fusion, so I didn't do that. Let's see here. The clunking sound. It makes a clunking sound when it stops at the next calibration point. I thought it was my linear rail at first, figured it would max trim. No, thank you. It stops at the next calibration point. So I guess the next question I'd have is, does it print normally? Does it have any issues when it prints? Are you seeing any, are you hearing any of that when it prints, and what speed are you printing at? You know, the VORON, all the VORONs can print relatively fast, much faster than that. So if it was the steppers, that clunk would probably carry over. If it was the linear rails, again, it would probably carry over. So I'm not quite sure why you're hearing a clunk while you're doing your calibration. I guess you're hearing it during prints as well, is my question. Back to this. Okay, so we have our belts. And previously somebody had asked about the belts, or about parts in general and how things come labeled. This is not specifically the bag the belts came in, but again, everything's labeled. These all came labeled in individual bags. I got 4 of them. One for each of the endpoints here on the gantry. And I need to look at this for a second, see what we're doing. Oh, let's see here. So we're clamping. Oh, that's better. We're clamping. So this perspective is looking from the top. All right, so we're clamping top and bottom. The bottom is after it goes down that way, so we want to clamp the bottom first. So the bottom is clamping with smooth side. That's right. So it's going to be, that looks odd. This can't be right over here. So let me switch over to my other manual. I mentioned this in a previous video that sometimes it helps to have an older revision manual and a newer revision manual. Sometimes the drawings are a little bit different. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less information. This looks to be the same on both. So I stick with the new one when I can. This right here obviously is not right. The belt's not getting clamped in, so we'll disregard that picture. It does show us properly where the belt's going through, you know, in that guide, but here is, let's see. So we're looking at this from the underside, and then we're coming straight through. What I don't see is if that's the tooth side or the untooth side, but the way these clamps are made, there is a tooth side and an untooth side. And in the drawing, if I'm looking at that, it looks like the tooth side will be facing upwards. If I had to make a guess. So that's coming up this way, and then it's going to get clamped that way. So I mean, it's going to come up on the flat side and out on the tooth side. So I believe we're looking at something like this. Let's see, actually looking for those. I think we're going to come up with something like that. So basically, we're going to be clamping down like that. So let me see what we're looking at for which side is toothed or has teeth. Let's see, questions. Kenneth, did you finish the afterburner? The cable connector needed cover. Let's see. Connector cover needed molding to fix the FORMBOT. It did. Mine didn't need any additional molding. I can show you that in a second. I did. I did break the first one I printed. I had bad layer adhesion on it, so but that's on me. I can actually throw that one away. There's the afterburner right there. And in terms of fitting, everything fit pretty well on there. Let's see here. That mounted just fine. The only issue I have with the afterburner on the FORMBOT kit is I really wish the wires weren't coming out of there, but I'm going to wind up cutting stuff and putting my own connectors on. But everything fits in just fine on that. And I know I'm kind of digging into my wires here, but just for proof of concept here, I'll show you. One. So it goes in there. That snaps on like that. Everything lines up just fine on that. That fit. Everything fit. I didn't have any problems with the guide, with the wire shroud or anything like that. Everything fit just fine. Just got one screw to put in there, so I don't lose the screw. So I had no issues with that, with the fitment of the motor that came with, or any of the other parts with the kit with the FORMBOT. Everything fit just fine. No modifications needed. Link for that cover so it fits better. Cable car new molding to fix the I don't have a link for the cover. It was the one that was built. It was the STL that came directly with the in the zip file or the RAR file for the printer. So whatever you have is what I had. Did you have shrinkage or? Okay, let me go back to that. So I assume you're talking about on the back here. So on the behind. So it goes behind your cable chain holder. That's actually in the manual. Let me get the screen here up for you and pull that back. I think they explicitly say that somewhere. Yeah, right here. So over and under the cable cover simply hangs off the heads of the M3x20 fastener, so it can easily be removed. So basically you have your drag chain mounted to the back of your stepper, and then that goes over that, and then everything kind of comes into play there. Yeah, I don't mine shows it in behind everything, so I don't know if there was a version of the manual that shows it another way. It could very well possibly be. Kenneth, just, yeah, I'm not doubting there probably is. That's why they have revisions. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. Yeah. All right, so back to this. So we decided these are going to come up to the bottom like that, be like this. So on the XY, we had to be really careful on the tooth count on the belts. I have a video on what I did to make sure I had the same amount of teeth on both of these, and that's strictly because of the way a Core XY works. Basically, I call it kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch, which isn't exactly accurate, but both modes work in conjunction with each other to make a straight line. It's kind of the invert of what you would think on your XY coordinates. So basically, they spin in opposite directions to make a straight movement, and they spin in the same direction to make a angled movement. Let's see, looking at the drawing, I was looking at the drawing in F360. Oh, Fusion. Okay. Fusion 360 was in the front. Well, I believe that. I believe that, and the more points of reference you have, the better. Another reason for doing what I'm doing, right? So let's see here. We're going to do the second one. Pull this off. So my favorite, kind of since you've had a similar experience with something different from my experience on the particular of what it was, but my biggest issue with differences were specific to the with the idler and the actual latch assembly inside of the extruder. Let me show you that real quick. This was a fun one for me. So, whoops. So this is the most recent, as far as I know, manual, which has you put together your extruder in a, I think, a weird way. So basically they're having you put it together without actually assembling the internals first, excuse me, which is odd. If you go to the prior manual to that, they actually have you assemble it in a much, I think, easier way, which is basically the heat sets, you build your parts, you know, all your little intricacies that go on the inside, and then after that, you got your clockwork, and they're assembling the gear. But then they actually show you over here, get rid of my picture there, they actually show you over here on the left what the inner workings of the unit is. So you could pre-assemble these parts inside of it before you bolt on the front portion of it. So in the newer version, they actually have you bolt everything together and then start to put in, I call this guy the duck, but it's actually your latch. So that makes it a little bit more difficult, and then you're putting in the side and your screw. The old version to me seemed better, so I used that there. And there was another section, I don't recall where it was. Oh, I think it was right here through the actual afterburner portion of this. They got really sparse, so like right through here. So this is the cooling fans on the afterburner. It's the first page on the old manual. On the new manual, bam, this is all assembled. They don't show you anything about separating the housing on the blower. They don't show you where the fans go. They don't show you putting in a piece of filament to connect those. And then they skip to that, which puts us to that page. So they omitted a complete page of the assembly in the new version of the manual. So, like I said, it's good to have multiple points of reference. It's helped me quite a bit. All right, back. Let's see, we got that one. I'll pull that off and get this belt on. Actually, did I put that upside down? Might be talking too much here. Let me see. I want that so... Nope, that's right. Okay. So let me do the next one here. So next one is going to be the same as the last one. So we're going to do this down like this, and leave a couple teeth out. I think I started to say that when we did the XY, we had to make sure we had the same amount of teeth on the ends. Here, we don't have that problem because the motors are all working independently, and frankly, they're going to be working out of step with each other, and that's how you're going to get your bed leveling, at least your primary bed leveling. So having them toothed differently does not make a difference here. I dare say that it makes absolutely no difference. Obviously, you still need to have enough there to work with, but that's it. Now, I'm not using my cordless hand screwdriver right now because I'm switching back and forth because I don't know why, but they decided to use an M3 and an M5 on these. I'm just going back and forth and tightening them up, and I don't want to have to change it in and out of the chuck on that. See, Sweet Thank You, I just printed all the parts. I haven't started the assembly yet. Okay. Yeah. What did you print the parts on? What are you using right now for a printer? I'm interested because of my own experience. I actually wound up purchasing parts. I tried to do the print it forward, but I wasn't willing to wait the amount of time that would have taken. So I searched out an alternative method, and that alternative method eventually became buying them on eBay. Can't say I regret it 100%, but the parts definitely weren't up to the quality I wish they were. Over the course of the build, I've been missing, I don't know, probably a half dozen parts at this point. And I don't think it was on purpose or anything like that. Just, you know, just somebody selling parts and bagging them up, and is what it is. In terms of the quality of the parts, again, I don't think this particular person probably paid attention to the specs that the VORON team gives on, like specifically on the infill amount and on the number of top, bottom, and outside walls. So I wound up printing a majority of the parts myself that I thought I needed to. And I did that on my ender. Let's see here. One question I have is, the panel clips in my kit come with transparent. Oh, for those thicknesses different yet. I can't answer you about the panels yet. I haven't gotten to that point. Panel clips in my kit came with transparent 2.5mm and black 2.5 acrylic. Those thickness differences yet. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that one. Sorry. Oh yeah, cardboard box. Let's see here. I can show you what my setup is. I don't think I've ever shown anybody this. Let me put you on my move cam. So this is my rig that I've been printing my parts with. Ender 5 inside of a Creality enclosure, I guess. It's running Clipper firmware. It's running a 4.2.7 board inside, which is a Creality board. A 3B plus, and a Micro Swiss direct drive extruder and hot end. This I might do a video if anybody's interested in it. This is my filament management system. So I got my Capricorn that comes out of a dry box that is silicone sealed here at the top, because I am literally in the basement, and plastic container, filament inside of it with decussant beads in the bottom of it to collect any moisture that goes in. So basically the only time that my filament is hitting the open air is inside of the printer, because it goes into the top like that, and then I don't know how well that shows up, but it's in there like that. Inside of here I keep all the little packets I get from everything. So it's pretty dry through and through, but that's my little gig, that's my little rig right there that I do my printing with. So not much different than an E3V2 in a cardboard box. It may look slightly better, but same principle. It's kind of a show and tell, right? I feel like I show my face every once in a while here, right? So I don't know how many of you guys are subscribed to the channel, but I am trying to build something. This is my first YouTube channel. You are watching some of my first videos. I think I've changed a lot of things since I started. I bought some better cameras because they looked horrible at first. I bought myself a lapel mic, wireless, so I could sound better. Done a bunch of things, so more than happy to get criticism on anything. Just kind of want to help people out, kind of share the hobby. I do have a lot of other interests, which is really kind of a big no-no, is to do a YouTube channel with multiple things in it, in terms of, you know, if If you're going to do 3D printers, you got to stick with 3D printers. If you're going to do home automation, you got to stick with home automation. But because my interest is so varied, I'm probably not going to be able to get away with just sticking with one thing. Right now we're doing the VORON, and 3D printing is always something I'm working with. It helps out with a lot of my other things I do, so I thought it was pretty important. But I will have other videos on other topics as we go on. I don't plan on hightailing it out of here anytime soon, so more people that watch, more people subscribe, the more videos I will do. I am trying to do them at least once per week, so hopefully you guys are enjoying them. Let's see here. I use the 6mm panel clips for the black panel on the back and 3mm for the transparent ones on the line. They fit even with the gasket seals. There you go. Great. Appreciate the answer there, Super Goober. Hey, that's how Nero started. Oh, I assume you're talking about with the under. Yeah, probably. Did you subscribe and like the video? Hey, thanks. Same with Golden Jaguar. Actually, I'm not even familiar with Golden Jaguar. I probably should be watching more videos, huh? So, at this point, we have these mounted to the gantry. This is the underside again. I thought it would be best when I do this. I try to figure out the easiest way to do some of these things because I think sometimes people do them the harder way. So I figured taking this off, putting it on, flipping it upside down, so we're working down as opposed to up would be easiest. So gone to the point now where these are all on. Now comes the fun part where we're going to wind up flipping this over, and we actually are going to mount this bad boy into the body of the VORON. So let me go back to just a wide screen here for a second and get rid of these guys. Get rid of this filament. Also, interested in opinions. I think everybody likes watching videos and things like that, but is there a benefit, is there a value in doing these live type videos where we kind of have a little bit of an open forum? You know, I don't have a ton of viewers yet, so basically it's a small couple people, so it's not like there's a crowd in there of people talking. So let me know that as well if you have an opinion on that. If you're looked at using, so I did look at, or I did think about, I think the aluminum parts came out, I've been doing this now for a while because I've been doing this so slowly, mostly because of family, just don't have a lot of time. But about the time that I started doing this, I think the aluminum parts started becoming a reality. So from what I understand, and I actually kind of already know this and everybody's heard this before, but you know, if something doesn't bend, it will break. And the guys that have created this, you know, I can't say kit, but created this design, have put a lot of effort, a lot of thought, and a lot of work into this. And I don't know that you need to go with aluminum parts. I think they would weigh approximately the same, probably slightly heavier, but not by a lot, really. Aluminum's pretty light, and these are pretty dense. But I do think that, and I don't have a good explanation as to why, but having some flex in some of these parts is probably a good thing. It would be interesting to remove and rework and probably change out some parts for aluminum parts because they'd be available. You know, something like, you know, the mechanism or the portion where the afterburner mounts to, things like that, where there's absolutely no reason to have movement on it. But I think other parts are probably meant to have some flex in them. I think I've heard that before as well. All right, so let's get this out of the way for a second. This is going to get a little tricky. Oh. Get the frame up here. And I'm going to see if we can move this guy. I did manage to find a way to move or make all my cameras movable. kind of happy about that. All right. Let's see if that works. All right. So there we go. Rear, front. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is try to wiggle this into place. Tell you what, the hardest part for this whole thing for me is the fact that I don't have spare parts. A lot of the guys that make videos on YouTube about building printers and whatnot seem to have an endless supply of spare parts that they've, you know, accumulate over years and years of doing this, and I don't have that. So I've always been worried about breaking a part or losing a part. I have purchased quite a few additional parts to have, and I suggest that anybody that is planning on doing this does the same, because you can't be guaranteed, even if you, and if you get a kit, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to be missing something at some point. But if you do source your own parts, buy extra. If for nothing other than the fact that you're going to want them for possibly building your next build, because it is addictive. Let's see here. That's that. Okay, so that's where we're at. We get back to screen. So at this point, we got to route these guys. So basically, this is where we're at. We've mounted. This has been clipped in, and so we need to route that down. It's going to go around the drive gear for that, and then up around the angry idler man up at the top, which I love those guys, and then back out through the top of the gantry on the secondary clamp that's there. So I think to make this work better, I'm going to try to lift this up and grab those boxes again. Sorry if I'm moving a little slow for you guys. I'm not quick, but I do try to cover everything, and hopefully that works for you. I just saw something that I was thinking about actually on the afterburner. I'm going to show you here in a second, because I want to get an opinion. Much as I like to think this is for you, it's as much for me as it is for you, so hopefully you guys have opinions on something. What could go wrong here, huh? What could go wrong? All right. So here's my question. So on the afterburner, this all mates up pretty well. Everything happens, and I have some minor warping in my ABS I've printed, but it's pretty decent. But what I'm surprised is, and it doesn't really matter, I guess, but I'm surprised there's no mechanism to attach your front portion, which these two are screwed together, and this is screwed through on the bottom, but there's nothing to attach the top section of this to the actual extruder. I have a little bit of a gap at the top of mine, and I don't think it's going to affect anything again, but I mean, I can squeeze that gap shut. It's just kind of odd to me that there's nothing there. So, didn't know if anybody else has seen something similar on their build, if they've built one, or noticed that at all, or anything else. Yeah, I could use clamps if I had some down here with me. Rubber stoppers, I do have those. Are those going to be enough to hold that up? Look, there might be a good secondary on that. Let me see if that... Yeah, that might work. Let me try that. Try that. You're a kid. Hi, Haley. My daughter's coming by again. What are you doing, honey? Come say hi again. Come say goodnight. Hey, love you. See you in the morning?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. It's the little one's time for bed. I don't know that rubber stoppers are enough to hold. Oh, you know, maybe. I'm using my boxes. I know the boxes aren't going anywhere, so I'm just going to use my boxes. Thanks for the tip, though, Keith. They're probably going to get in my way eventually, but I'll deal with it. So, what we have. All right, so we'll come down, and actually, let me get my other cam here. I don't want to get everybody seasick. I know the video I did on belting the XY, if you watch that one, is probably enough to make anybody motion sick. But I was really trying to finally do a video that showed all of the ins and outs of where the belts go, because I sure as heck couldn't find one. So, coming down off the back end here, or on the inside actually, this is the outside, this is the inside, and then we're actually going to be going down into our base, and we have our drive gear down there. Try not to keep the belt as I'm doing it. And I mentioned this on my other video, is, see if I can move that out of the way so people can kind of see a little bit better. Man, I wish I had some clamps. This is dropping all the way down through. So, like I said, I mentioned in the other video, but these things are designed in such a way where don't overcomplicate it. Don't make it hard on yourself. I mean, if it's going to drop through, let it drop through, because it's probably designed for ease of putting it together to do that. Don't fight it. But it's dropping down through, it's coming back up. On the other side of it, I can clearly see it. I will show you what I see here in a second, as soon as I don't need both hands. All right, get underneath this a little bit. So let's see here. What was I on top of? So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. We've got how many people are watching this right now? I got a half dozen or so people. I guess, you know, what more can you ask for? Well, I've only been doing this for about a month and a half, so, right? So, what I've got is the belt is going down. I dropped it down below. It is now wrapped. I don't know if that's going to focus for you. It's wrapped around that gear, which is part of the drive mechanism that we built in a much earlier video. Are all the rails supposed to be hooked up after the belts? Oh, the attachments. The attachments of the... you know, I don't have an answer for that, but I'll tell you that in the manual, I think what you mean is, are we supposed to attach the rails to the gantry before or after the belts? I don't have an answer for that, but I will tell you that they're showing the belt being wound before they're showing the connection point to the rail. So I'm going to do one like that, and then I'm probably going to attach everything up, because I'm probably not going to put everybody through the agony of watching me do 4 belts, honestly. Were your cable chains openable? Ones they sent were not openable. Ones I had to buy new ones. I'm gonna check. You know, I haven't even checked the. I haven't even checked them. Let me check. Stand by. Got my box of goodies over there of stuff I haven't touched yet. It's getting awful thin. These feel pretty good. Yeah, these are pretty decent. I don't know if anybody caught that. Let's see here. Kind of hard to find a good camera at this point. I get this thing away. So my chains are openable. I don't necessarily like how they're openable, but basically that clip in. Of course, the first one I go to open, it just kind of flew apart, but there you go. Yeah, so mine are openable. My FORMBOT kit. Let's see, there's a brand on there. Wijive, W-I-J-I-Y-E. Maybe somebody's familiar with that brand. I am not. It might be like the #1 brand of chains, and I'm just not aware of it. I am a novice. I'm not a stupid guy, but I am not a professional 3D printer builder. Oh, let's see here. Yes, got it. Using one or one. Are you using one or? Oh, yeah, thank you, Supergirl. I think yeah, he has 2. Yeah, so I did use 2. Again, I tried to follow the manual 100%. I think there's going to be a little bit of additional drag. I didn't really feel any binding on once I had things tuned up. I think probably the modification to only use 1 was because people were complaining about binding. It did take some fiddling around to make them so they didn't they weren't binding up, but it's 100% doable. So it was in the original manual, so I did it that way, and it worked out. We'll see if it works out in the long run. If it doesn't work out, that's one of those few things that should be pretty easy to remedy. It's as simple as taking out 4 screws. So just for the sake of being rigid, I did do all of them. The next one here. Any thoughts on that? Anybody do anything different? Reasoning, I guess, if you did do it differently. The manual clearly shows and calls it the double rail system. I'm assuming originally it was designed that way so that it would be super rigid. Whether or not it adds much rigidity, I don't know for sure. But I'm sure there's plenty of Vorons floating out there that have both rails hooked up and are working just fine. VORON team is okay at 1, yeah. Keith, looks like you have some input on the subject. I understand teams find 1. Any idea why, specifically other than me thinking it's about binding and the difficulty of getting it not to bind and to be smoother, as to why they decided to switch up the game and do 1 versus the 2? I don't know if you have any insight on that. I'm interested. It's the M3x20s. Again, packaged, nice. So it's an M3x20 screw cap. The bags are pretty well labeled. Kind of messes with me a little bit. There's quite the delay between what I do and what I see and what you guys write. And I seem to have misplaced it. There we go. I'm just going to put one screw in each of these. And then I just want to kind of hammer out some chat with you guys. Kind of talk more about this kit. Talk about trials and tribulations of some random guy building a VORON kit that hasn't built dozens of kits in the past. Or even another kit. I don't consider my bolting the top of my Ender 5 together to be a kit build. Keith, I don't know if you got me, but I was wondering if you had any insight on that switch from 2 to 1. I'm not trying to call you out or anything like that, just interested more than anything else. Fall on me. So I guess good question for everybody is, has everybody built a VORON? Not necessarily 2.4, but is everybody kind of familiar and kind of been down the path I'm on right now? If not, I guess looking to see what the purpose is for watching the videos. You guys interested in building one? You guys like watching somebody struggle every once in a while? You like the bad jokes I tell every once in a while? Or just have nothing else to do on Friday night? Just feel like hanging out. So I plan on doing a video with somebody else that is also building a VORON. They're not torturing themselves by building their first printer live on YouTube like I am, but they did buy a kit. The kit came with slightly different parts, and I thought it would be interesting to, once we get to a point, it might be after the electronics are done on this, it might be sooner than that, I'm not sure, but basically kind of do a comparison. I gotta find out more information. Like I said, I don't know what kit. I think it was also a FORMBOT kit, but I think FORMBOT, try to say this in a way that's nice, basically bundles what they can get their hands on. You know, I got the spider. I think other people have gotten other things. Kind of luck of the draw type of scenario. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, input. Who doesn't? So glad you mentioned that. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Here they are. Yep. So was that Todd? We're on the same page, bud. I also have my boards to put on this thing once I get to that point. I was actually bought those to put on the Ender 5. That'd be something to actually chat about probably once I clean up from this and we're just kind of going back and forth a little bit. I was going to put those on my Ender 5 because I do have some ringing issues with that. But I also print with my Ender 5 quicker than I should. I don't think I'm a genius in terms of cure settings or anything. But between the Micro Swiss hot end with direct drive, which I know is not magical or the best thing out there, but between that and running Clipper and just working on fine-tuning of everything, I actually am really impressed with how well I can do with that Ender 5. And I still might see if I can do some input shaping on it. I definitely plan on doing that with this as well. I think it's pretty important. Let's see here, what else we got here? Let's see, Kenneth, you're further than me. I'm assuming you mean in the build? Well, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but I'm into this about a month now, give or take. Probably give a little bit more. I think I could probably do this again. I think I said at the beginning of the video, if I wasn't doing a YouTube or if I was just doing a live stream and not paying attention really to trying to show everybody everything, I think I could probably get to the point I'm at right now within probably 6 hours. I got VTT Octopus with my kit. Where'd you get your kit from, Super Goober? By the way, I like the name. I don't know if you're actually a Super Goober or if you're just like the candy or Goober Grape peanut butter and jelly. I don't know if you're in the States or not, but I grew up eating Goober Grape peanut butter and jelly. One can. Yeah, did you get a FORMBOT kit or did you get it from someplace else? Oh, see, I added a second X rail. Now X is better, but Y is worse. Huh. Y is worse. The only reason I could think that could happen actually makes no sense. I was going to say additional mass, but there is no additional mass. I guess there's a little bit of additional mass. Probably out of everything, the rails are one of the heavier things. When you say Y is worse, are you getting more Y ringing or something, or what's happening specifically? Yeah, whoop, I might have blown out the mic on that one. He kind of got me excited. I'm worried about the wiring. I actually have grown up soldering. I've been soldering since I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, playing with that type of stuff, electronics in general. But I do have my concerns, mostly about the routing and the amount of, I'll call it micro crimping. I really need to get my practice on the crimping. And the good thing about that is I guess I'll be able to share with everybody what I find when it comes to that. Because I am not great at crimping little wires, admittedly. Yep. So, let's see here. Those are all attached. And who was it that mentioned that? Keith. Yeah, I think having those attached is probably going to make it easier. I only need 2 boxes to hold it up now because it kind of holds itself up inside the frame. I don't have to worry about it falling so easily. So thanks for that. Good tip. So let's see here. So I got that in the way. Let's go back to this right here. Right, what's difficult about making these videos is finding good camera angles so people can see what the hell you're doing. So we've gone up, gone down. We're going through the slot here on the top. And let me grab my little move cam. My little move cam is a Microsoft HD POS. It was one of the first cams I started with, but I kept it because I figured I would need it at some point. So move cam, there we go. All right, so we're at the top like that. And we got our angry eyes. And we're gonna come through like so. And then we're coming back down, and then we're going to clamp right about like that. Not that you folks needed to see that, but if I don't show it, somebody will ask. Let's see here, FORMBOT name, just because, FORMBOT, and the name is just because I am a goober sometimes. Well, I'm a goober all the time, so we got that in common. I'd rather be called a goober than a lot of other things. Just for all of you guys that don't know, for a little bit of comic relief, if you're of a certain age, I am in my early 40s, so if you're probably in your mid 30s and above, or maybe even early 30s, you might get a chuckle out of the fact that my first name is actually Kermit, as in Kermit the Frog. No, my parents were not huge fans of the Muppets. My dad's name was also Kermit, and he was named after Kermit Kennedy. So, I don't need a nickname. I already have one. It's built in. So, fun there. Fun fact, right? Get to know me. Ran out of spiders when I bought mine. So, I've heard some really good things, or I've read some good things too, about the octopus. So I don't think you got a letdown there, but again, I think you just kind of concreted the point I was making in terms of them putting in what they get. Yeah. So one thing I just noticed on this, let me go back to my close cam, remove cam I should say. So on the top clamps here, and I might have gotten this wrong, but I'm just going to point out, because if I did, I'm a glutton for punishment. I like pointing out my mistakes. I originally had these so that this little notch is pointing outwards, which isn't where the belt is, and I thought that's the way the manual had it, but it makes a lot more sense to have that notch facing towards the belt than away from the belt, because it has no purpose if it's facing away from the belt. So something to note, I guess. And I don't know if the manual's wrong or not, and I don't feel like looking at this moment. Let's see here. Euros Unboxing Kit was my kit. Oh, really? Okay. You probably saw that video, but I had a baby in between that and now. Oh, congratulations. Boy or girl? First one, or do you have more than one child there, Kenneth? And I did see, I think that was the one where, if I recall thumbnails more than videos. I think the thumbnail for that video, he had written concerning with a K for whatever reason. I might have missed that part of it, but I do recall. I think I did see that. Let's see here. Instead of one spike, I got two. Prayer is not happening. Let's see. What are you doing? I'm not sure what you mean there. Todd Esther, let's see, I got two, and one is around 25-30 hertz. Prayer is not happy. So I'm not sure what you're talking about there. I don't know if you're talking about mains, or if you're talking. Oh, I think you're talking about your. Are you the one doing the shaper? That'll be interesting. I haven't gotten to doing that yet, but that'll probably be another video. I could probably do endless videos with the amount of. I think I'm doing a pretty decent amount of information into these videos, but I feel like I could just keep on rolling these things out. I could probably do a series of 50 of them just on this one build, but I'm pretty sure people get bored after a while. But yeah, Input Shaper definitely could be a video or two all by itself. You know, probably do one just on the installation of it. I haven't looked to see if there's any custom parts made to attach input shaping boards to the afterburner yet, but when I get there. I have an octopus too. Be careful with the motor plugs. Count them and the drivers. 3+4 connector on the same driver. Okay, that's good to know. Good to note on that. This will replay with the. I am having this replay and record with the chat here, so anybody that watches it will get that little note. So appreciate that. There are 9 connectors on the octopus, but 8 slots for drivers. It's probably so you can double up on one of them, I'm guessing. I don't know which one, but that would be my guess. All right, so this is route. It's not tight. It's just there. It's sitting there. The other ones are going to be the same way. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. I'm actually going to set this aside and do a little portion of the video now that we're about an hour and a half into it. If you guys just came to watch me mess with the printer, that's awesome. Appreciate it. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the build so far. Kind of what I've noticed, what I've seen, what I've done. Some opinion. And we all know what opinions are like. But, so number one, I did get some slack from one individual on my choice of a hot end, which was the Dragon. I won't say that I necessarily got trolled or anything, but there are some people that aren't happy when you don't buy All American. I have dual citizenship, so I'm part Canadian, so I guess I could use that as an excuse. I bought the Dragon because I had heard good things about it. It was inexpensive, and I'd already put up about $1,200 on this. So I was looking to kind of squirrel anything away I could. It looked like a good kit. Everything seems to be good on that. Let's see here. Keith, boy first, parts of my kit. Just lows compared to your kit. Chains, rebuilding. Yeah, it's a grab bag, I guess, right? You get what you get. I don't know that I'd ever, you know, I think I lucked out. The reason I bought a FORMBOT kit specifically was for ease. I didn't feel comfortable sourcing all the parts. I will say that if I was going to build one today, I probably would source the parts. I've come to realize that the time savings in doing this was great, but the actual time to assemble and the time to actually put things together, you have time in between things to get parts if you're missing them and whatnot. So I would probably source all the parts. I mean, some of it I can get locally, some of the parts you can get Amazon and all the other usual places online. So the world we live in today, find the parts isn't an issue. If you get a kit on a first build, probably makes sense. But again, I've bought, let's see here, on a frame, but you can hear me. You know, I've actually bought, just because I am afraid of running out of things. I've purchased additional screws. I've purchased additional T-nuts. I've bought heat certs, connectors. I've bought a lot of extra stuff just to make sure I don't run low on things. And that could have been my sourcing if I had done that. Let's see, how does it look with the bed attached? I will bring it back up in a second. I just wanted some space here. It was crowding my style. Girt on the back. How does it look? How does it look? The bed on the back. Okay, I'll show you in a second. FORMBOT kit has 2 threads on the back, I assume, one for earth and one for fuse. Yes, okay, yep. Let me show you that. Where's my bed? So, this is the FORMBOT. So, this is the FORMBOT bed. I do believe it's rolled aluminum. I don't believe it's cast. It's got some machining done to it. This is relatively smooth. So let me talk about that for a quick second. So the bed's relatively smooth. You can definitely feel as you move over this a difference. I mean, it's probably, you need a micrometer to be able to tell what the difference is, but what I figure is I'm putting a magnetic, attachment on this, and then I'm putting my, my spring steel bed on top of that. So, we all know that this needs to be flat, but let's face it, between the spring steel and the magnet bed that's going on top of this, I don't think this is going to make that much of a difference. I mean, I can't catch anything. If I put a steel ruler on it, I'm not going to see any light through it. It's pretty good there. So I think we're good. But I do think it's rolled. It may warp. We'll see. Only time will tell. You asked about the screw holes on the back. So yes, there's one for your thermal fuse, and there's one for your earth ground on here. Whoop. Put that video on the way. So right there for your earth ground, thermal fuse on the other side. So yes, you do have both of those. They're built into it. They're pre-tapped. They're all ready to go. Let's see here. I use high temp silicone for the fuse. It secures the heater. So I use what was on the heater to put it on there. It was pretty good. I put it on nice and slow, rolled it right out. The fuse, I just have it screwed on. I'm probably gonna have to tighten it up after the bed gets heated up. Something I have to watch out for. Let's see, what else we got here? Well, eSUN complete with mine, waiting on parts from China. That's where most of the parts come from. I self-sourced everything and spent more than I would, yeah, I don't think you save money self-sourcing the parts. And you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think you get better parts. I honestly think you're probably going to wind up with a better build in the end. Don't tell my wife, but she might be watching this, so she probably knows. But this is not my last VORON build. I wanted to get one on my belt. I wanted to get one as a kit so I could see how things are and kind of get a feel as to what I'm looking at for parts. Once you get to a point where you have the build this far along, it doesn't seem like as much of a momentous or huge type of thing that you're dealing with. You're able to start to break it down in your mind and figure out what you got. You start off with, if you count every individual screw and everything, you start off with probably over 1,000 parts. But it's really, once you break it down into what they are and everything like that, it's not that bad. So I will definitely self-source my next. I'm probably going to get extra parts, and I do plan on building other printers as well. Definitely a way to do that. Thank you. Why you have not put silicone heat resistant all over the silicone heater pad? Good tips. Cut the magnetic cover over the screws and use the belt hole cutter and finish with an X-Acto knife. Yeah, when I mount this, I'll probably do that. I haven't gone to that point yet. This is the last thing. It's probably, or one of the last things that are going to go on the printer. It just adds about 1/3 of the weight of the printer, so I want to do the electronics before I get that on there. But yeah, good tip. Thank you. I suggest you apply heat break material to the beak of the bed, the back of the bed. Not sure exactly what you mean by heat break material on the back of the bed. If you're talking about some type of insulation, I probably will wind up putting insulation on the bottom, since I guess I can bring that up back now. I've been thinking about this. I don't know what I'm going to use yet, but I'm probably going to put some type of insulation. I'm thinking maybe some type of aluminum or metallic insulation on the base to protect the electronic components. We got quite a bit of space in there to insulate, so I'll probably do that. Let's see here. Good tip to cut the back. Yeah, got that. Thanks for showing it. Yep, no problem. Anything you need, more than willing to help out. You can also send me a message. You can send me an email. My link, my information is on my YouTube channel, so feel free. I can't spend all day doing it, but I don't get a lot, so more than willing to help out who I can. I've also purchased a lot of the spares and upgrades. You should see Tom's video on the panels warping up. You might get new panels and print solid or else. Yeah. I haven't seen that. I do a lot of jumping around, so I do plan on insulating them again, so I hope that won't be an issue. If it does, maybe it might be a good opportunity to use something a little more rigid, maybe something metal or something. I don't know what they're selling for a panel, but when you say printer solid, I assume you mean printed solid. Tom's panel warping, there is a fix. Has support clips for the warping acrylics. Okay, so I assume the support clips probably clip somewheres, kind of clip on and in or around these. Does that sound about right? I'm assuming that's about what you're talking about. Isolation material, English is my first. Hey, no problem at all. A lot of people that speak English, it doesn't seem like it's their first language. I think everybody knows who Tom is. If somebody's mentioning Tom, Tom speaks better English, even though he's German, than a lot of people that live in the United States or in England or in Canada. So no worries here. Nobody's going to drag you out about it. Can't link in chat. That's fine. I'll take a look. If you want to self-source, check the approved vendors on the VORON Discord. Great group of people, quality products, and US based, so you're waiting for you are waiting weeks for parts. Yeah, and there's also a guide on the VORON website for sourcing parts as well. There's a whole spreadsheet that kind of has first, second, third, kind of a list of who you can go to for the parts. Due to what's going on right now in the world with limited parts and whatnot, a lot of places taking a lot of time to get things. So that was actually another reason why I went with the kit. It was in stock, it was available, I got it. I didn't have to worry about maybe missing, something as silly as all my T-nuts because I couldn't get them and I couldn't start my build because I was missing all the T-nuts. Oh, let's see here. Go print the panel clip mod from, let's see, Wiley E1, and you shouldn't have warping. Okay, I will do that. Those in the Discord, or are they on GitHub, or are they someplace else? Kenneth. Thanks, series. I'm following it. No problem. You're welcome. Hopefully you subscribed as well. This is just the start of the channel, so hopefully I'll do more stuff, and hopefully you like it. 3 clips each side. The ACM panels from printed solid are nice. Okay. What is your next VORON going to be? Okay, so I think I'm gonna go small and quick. If you've been watching the video, if you've been watching this live stream, you've seen my daughter's popped in a couple times. I also have a son. They're actually supposed to be helping with some of the stuff, but it doesn't happen very often. They like to print off little things every once in a while. I think it'd be nice to have a small printer that was fast and quick and easy, just so we could do that and have it out as opposed to up on something so that they can get to it, maybe something that they can play with, not overly expensive. I plan on probably getting rid of the Ender at some point. We'll see. It's lived a pretty decent life though. So probably a V0, I don't know. Let's see here. So I hope you show your process setting up Clipper when you get to that point. Yeah, so Super Goober, definitely plan on doing that. I actually, and I'll take, not really a poll, but if anyone wants to throw up any information here, I'm probably, I guess, what is everybody's interest in the if you've been watching the amount of depth I do on the videos I'm doing, do you want them, or are you interested in having that in depth on the actual wiring? And if not, are you interested in that same in-depth amount on the actual software setup? I guess those are the two things. How far do you want me to stream this out? I want to get this thing built and running, but I'm willing to do it slowly if that's what you guys want. You guys want to see all of it in progression. So I definitely will do some stuff on Clipper. If you have any quick Clipper questions right now, I'm more than happy to talk about that as well. Probably going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. Just subscribed and activated the bell. Good luck on channel. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you around. Be here for a while. Oh, and a warning. Follow the guide on the VORON site. If you want to use bed mesh, you have to use relative mode. Okay. Good to know. I do use bed mesh. Okay. Thanks, Kenneth, on the GitHub. Let me see if actually, if I catch up with these questions, I will see if I can find that real quick, and I'll post a link for everybody. Both wiring and software. All right, so sometime in 2022, when I get this finished, we'll do some printing. No, okay, I understand. I'm glad that people are watching and they're happy that I'm going slow and showing as much as I am. That path I just typed. All right, let's see. Woman, man, everybody be man, right? No one says thanks, woman. But anyways, thank you. I don't think there are enough V1 build videos on YouTube. Rumor is there's a 1.9 coming out soon. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. My question for the VORON team is if they do a V1 and they get to a 1.9, what comes after that? 1.91, 1.92? You know, those are just progressions and modifications that they make to make the printer better. So I don't know what they would, you know, obviously they're always doing things to make them slightly better. So I could do V1. I haven't really looked into it. I have to look at what my options are and what best fits what my needs will be. Let's see, I have a 350 and a 0.18 difference left and right. Okay. It's a big bed and difference left and right. 1.8, I'm assuming a 0.18 millimeter difference left and right. Not sure exactly what you mean by that, but I'm assuming that you're off by 0.18 of a millimeter left and right, which doesn't sound too huge to me. Maybe that's on your z-axis. Oh, you're talking about your bed. I bet you're talking about your bed. So on 350 millimeters, 0.18 millimeter left and right, that is pretty good as far as I'm concerned. All right, let me see. Let me do this real quick. So talking quickly a little bit about parts and stuff like that. So I've mentioned before, I've been using an Ender 5. I've already printed up my dressing, my skirts for the printer. They've printed pretty well. So we're going with the blue and the black again. I've also put together my screen like that. It's looking pretty good. Not looking to impress anybody, but again, Ender 5, some tuning, and that I didn't print recently, so I don't remember how long that took, but that piece right there took, I think, 2.5 hours with the settings I'm using. So that's pretty good on Ender 5, I think. Oh, let's see here. My 350 difference mostly front and back. It's 0.165. Sounds like a competition now as to who has the flatter bed. But if there's issues with the Z offset not really sticking, be sure to have D28 before QGL after. Yeah. What are you using for your firmware? Are you using Clipper or something else? Having issue with your bed sticking. Plan to use the HARC PCB. I'm not familiar with the HARC PCB. Clipper, okay. So I don't know how familiar you are with Clipper, but let me see. It's fun doing this live because you never know what you're going to show people. So people have a lot of questions about Clipper, so I figured I'd show this real quick. So, this I run a BL Touch on my Ender 5, and then basically out of that you have your Z offset. And the odd thing about Clipper and even after you do a tune and after you do everything, after you do a bed leveling, I have found that I do have to adjust this by as much as 0.2, depending on the material I'm printing with. So, you know, I don't know if that helps you at all, but I do have to make adjustments to this, even though this is the do not edit below this line auto-generated portion. I break the rules and I do edit that. That helps with the sticking to the bed. Is a PCB for maybe fast switch to hot end and make them work? Oh, I get you. So basically, it's an all-in-one connection for your extruder and your probe and everything else. Does that sound about right? Yeah, right there. Arc PCB has tool head PCB 4. No, I'm gonna look into that. I don't really. Yeah, I mean, it might be a mod worth looking at eventually. I haven't really thought about doing that, but that sounds interesting. Do you have a kit for the wires, or are you doing it yourself? I am doing my wiring all myself, and I am a glutton for punishment. If you're familiar with the phrase. I know English is not your first language, but the kit, I haven't even opened this up yet, so I'll open this up right now. The FORMBOT kit comes with wire that is wrapped in saran wrap. Let's see here. Oh, come on. So they do give you some pretty high quality, some nice silicone wire. So it's really flexible, it's really nice stuff. So I think it'd be really good for the chains. But they give you pretty much a ton of black and a little bit of red, and I'm guessing there's a gauge difference between the two, even though they look the same to me. Actually, no, the red seems a little bit bigger. So I'm a glutton for punishment. I think it'd look really cool if all my wiring is also in black. So I might actually use their wiring. My first thought, and when I first saw that, I went out and I bought multicolor silicone wire so I could run my wire and know what colors was what to what. But after thinking about it, I don't know. For some of the things, I might just go all black with that and actually use the wire they provided. But I'm making my own harness. I'm going to be building it myself. I don't feel like waiting to order a harness. Last time I looked, it was going to take 3 to 4 weeks to get one, so I don't want to wait. Let's see here. Yeah, I agree with letting the bed heat up and you let everything heat up, especially if you're using a chamber, because everything will adjust. Some things will sag, some things will expand with the heat. I definitely plan on putting LEDs in here. I'm probably, I don't know what I'm gonna do for a camera yet, but I definitely plan on putting LEDs inside. Gonna put camera, bring in the clipper, do everything like that. I don't have LEDs inside of my Ender, but I do have a Wise Cam that I use. Cheap way to get around. See if you have spaghetti going on or anything like that. Comes in pretty handy. But I do plan on doing something nice with this, make this more permanent. So yes, I do plan on doing some LED lighting in it so I can see. I'll see more design. Oh, thanks for the link for the clips. I'm actually gonna copy that and open that up so I don't forget. Kenneth, I will get those printed. Okay, and let's see here. Somewhere is not the best one. Let's see here. Yeah, you get silicone wire, you get the PTFE wire. Yeah, I guess you go either way. I like how flexible the silicone is. I don't know how much of a difference it really is. I haven't read much into it, and I haven't looked much into it. But people have been using silicone wire for a long time. I know it's some of the most flexible wire you can get. It might not, the sheeting may not hold up as long or as good as a PTFE. But I think I'll be fine. All right, guys, I'm gonna rack this up here and get this done here. I'll give you 5 more minutes. Answer any questions. We'll chat up, whatever. Let's see here. Calculated to make multicolor wires, all my own black, 2 in red. Awesome labels. Multimeter continue to be your friend. I agree. The multimeter will be my friend. What I planned on doing with that though is I bought. We're talking about the fact that the wire colors will be the same. I bought multicolor heat shrink. So I have 4 different colors of heat shrink. I figured that should cover most of the multicolored wire. I can still run it black wire through the chains and through everything so it stays nice and clean looking, but then on either end I can use the heat shrink so I know what color that wire is. And if I do that before I get too far into it, if I do it as I build it, I shouldn't have an issue being able to tell which wire is which. That was my plan, but I will probably have that multimeter out. You're absolutely right. No problem. I enjoy spending my time with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. Glad to see guys and gals out there watching, so no problem anytime. PTFE is really expensive. Yeah, it is. It's just like anything else. PTFE in general is really expensive. Look at Capricorn tubing. It's pretty expensive. I think if there's anything else I want to share with you guys before I go, probably gonna do this, or at least try to do this, maybe once every other week or so. I can't do it every week. I just have too busy of a schedule. I do try to put out a video every week. And I said before early in the video, like I said, I'm gonna wrap this up, but if you haven't subscribed, please do. Notification button, all that good stuff. Give me a thumbs up. Looking to grow the channel. Just been on here for about a month and a half now. We've got about 140 subscribers. Hopefully we kick this up. Hopefully this live stream helps out with that and I get some more people. If you have friends that are interested, let them know about the channel. Anybody's interested in building a VORON, I think I've put out a pretty good series of videos going step by step without skipping much. And I plan on, based on what people want, doing that for the rest of the build as well. Just hopefully I get this thing done before the end of the year, right? All right. I'm going to say goodnight to you guys too. I got a couple people saying goodnight. I'm going to say goodnight. We've chatted up. We've talked about it. This thing mechanically is ready to go. Next step is going to be a start on electronics. I'm going to do an overview of that. My next video. It's probably going to be, got a little vacation coming up. It's probably going to be next week. But I will see you then. And again, I appreciate it. Everybody, have a good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And again, appreciate you all. And hopefully I see you on the next video. See you later.